You're about to embark on a journey to another dimension. A dimension not of body, but of light and sound. You must think critically, not just watch, but to learn as well. To listen to two young men argue about movies they care way too much about. Do they even know what they're talking about? Nobody knows. This is Film Juice.
Hey everybody! It is time for Film Juice.
Film Juice.
Welcome everyone. I'm Andrew Canada.
And I'm Joe Dorado.
And we've got some pretty good movies, some new movies to talk about this week. First one up is Night School.
Night School. This is an interesting movie. It has Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish. And it's about a high school dropout who is dating this very rich, he has a really rich girlfriend.
She's a classy lady.
Yeah. And basically he's trying to hide the fact that he doesn't really have that much money, and that he's a high school dropout from his girlfriend. So he goes to night school to get his GED, to get a better job, and the night school teacher is Tiffany Haddish. And yeah, that's the movie.
Hilarity
ensues, as they say. Too bad there wasn't much in this movie.
It was a funny movie. I mean, I think going in, both of our expectations were fairly low. I mean, I just didn't really know what it was going to be. I didn't think the trailer made it look that funny.
Nope.
The thing about this movie, I liked some of the jokes. There were a lot of like small funny moments, but there was there weren't any moments that were like really big laughs.
No,
it's just kind of a bunch
like,
of like tiny laughs. Yeah, just like spread out. That's pretty much it.
My main issue with the jokes in this movie is they did this thing where they held on to jokes for too long. And the jokes weren't...
Like the moment,
you
mean?
Yeah, so, for example...
yeah, that's true.
Let's talk, like, the scene where they introduced the whole class. That scene lasted so long for an uncomfortable amount of time. And they just held on the same joke for so long in that scene. And it was... I was not a fan. And they did it in so many scenes, like in the restaurant scene, in the scene where they're outside in the Chick-fil-A area. Like, there's a lot of scenes where they just hold on to the same joke for so long. They're like, this joke, and then it's like, that joke. Oh, that joke again. It's so funny that time. It wasn't...
I agree with all of those scenarios except for the classroom one, your first example. Because they do go, there is a certain joke that, I think the one you're talking about, obviously we don't want to spoil it, but the one you're talking about that the one student says and kind of keeps repeating.
Yes.
I think they actually did that well.
Really?
I think they set up that scene well. I know he was saying it, but that's why, because it was funny the first time, and then it becomes funny again. It's like a cycle, right? Because he keeps saying
I understand.
So
what
I thought
you're
they
saying,
executed that well.
But don't you think that scene was just a little bit too long, like uncomfortably long? Like that scene was so.
It was.
Like,
it
lasted
was really
a while.
long, but also in a lot of ways, this is more an ensemble than just a Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish movie.
That is
and that's the first time you see all these characters. So it kind of had to be that long, I think, to introduce all of them.
Yeah.
And at first, because the one thing I will say is I liked a lot of those characters as secondary characters. Absolutely, they weren't super flushed out.
They're not
but
at
they
all.
I disagree. They were definitely flushed out a fair amount. The waiter, the housewife, obviously. Her character has a whole arc.
I guess, yeah. She's just like she does, but like they always stay. I guess they're a little flushed out. They're not as two-dimensional as
but
I'd say,
again,
like,
they are the secondary
Peppermint.
Characters. So I think for the secondary characters, they're flushed out. Some of them an appropriate amount. Some of them still definitely not.
Okay.
Some of them still needed more time.
Like the waiter, I'd say is the most flushed out of all of them.
And the woman also.
She's I don't know. I didn't see it that much. Like I saw her.
Her character goes through a whole thing. Her an entire storyline on her own, and I don't want to go into too many details about it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess maybe it was just personal bias because like I didn't care for her character very much. I think
then
most of the secondary
probably the second most of any character.
Just because most of the characters in this movie are just stereotypes, and it was just the same joke every time with these characters, and it bothered me. Like, I didn't find it funny the first time. I didn't find it funny the 50th time they said the joke. It just wasn't funny. And that was my main issue with this movie, is that every character in this movie I felt was just a stereotype on another. Like, their characters were just stereotypes, and they had arcs, sure, but it didn't stop them from saying the same jokes and, like, you know, ripping on the same things over and over and over again. And that was my main issue. I don't want to bag too much on this movie, because this movie did have funny moments. I will say that. Like, I thought the Chick-fil-A thing was funny. I thought that whole thing was good. Like, that was very smart, and I think the way they played that off was actually really, really funny. Like, I like
that
I'll
scene
give it that.
where he first goes
yes.
there. And you know what I will say about that scene in particular is because, you know, obviously, as far as comedies go, usually they don't try and branch out as much artistically as dramas. But I think that in some ways, Malcolm Lee, who directed it, of course,
Girls
and directed Girls Trip and like some other things, and cinematographer Greg Gardner. I don't know why I said it weird like that, but I think they really did like try to do some things, because that scene in the you know, chicken restaurant, like Christian chicken thing.
It was like smart.
But the lighting on the manager was different from everybody else in that scene, and it was good.
I don't want to. I really don't want to keep ripping on this movie, because but like, there's just more issues. There's more issues that I have to address.
Okay.
The editing in this movie was
so
distracting.
It was distracting. Good. Not just of the visuals, but audio.
No, the audio
particularly.
Oh my God, I don't know if this editor, like, I wonder if this is like one of his first things that he did, because there were so many mistakes, and it's not like he like made artistic choices and we just like didn't care for him. He like made actual mistakes with the audio, where the dubbing was off. Like, it was a completely different like word that was coming out of the person's mouth, and you could tell that he just didn't cut early enough. Like, and it didn't happen just once. It happened a few times. Like, I know if it happened once, I wouldn't have even mentioned it really, because that happens in movies sometimes.
Yeah.
But it happened like 4 times. Like, it was noticeable.
Yep, absolutely. The other thing with audio that was noticeable was the added lines.
Yeah.
When they would like cut away, but have somebody say something, which obviously they didn't say on camera.
The audio cutting wasn't great.
Because again, like, movies do that, and usually you'll get like 1 per movie. I think this movie had 5 or 6 of them, and I was like, man, that just takes you out of it, right? Good thing about this movie that we definitely agree on. Keith Davis.
Oh, he was
plays Kevin Hart's dad.
Keith
Steals
David
the show.
Was amazing.
Every scene that he's in.
I wish he was in it more. Every time he's on screen, he's great. One more issue I had. I think, and this is probably the biggest issue I had with this movie, is I don't think Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart had good chemistry on screen. I don't think at any point in this movie, I think in the beginning, they're not supposed to have, I don't think their chemistry grows. Like, I just never felt they were funny together. Not like, I guess comedic chemistry is what I'm trying to say. I never thought like they were good at riffing off of each other, because I felt a lot of this movie was trying to be ad-libbed. And that's why some of the jokes like last too long. And I feel like that's what was happening with them a lot, is I never felt their scenes together and moments together
I think
funny
that
or great.
when they are in scenes together in this movie and they are riffing and stuff, all of their scenes are focused on one or the other. So one is playing straight while the other does everything else. So that's why I don't think they're necessarily funny together, because they're all focused on one, and I think that's fine.
It just bothered me. And then the last thing, this movie is like super cartoony, like over the top cartoony, like way more like than you expect, I guess. Like it's almost like Who Framed Roger Rabbit at some points, honestly. With some of the things that the explosion, like it was bad.
Oh,
it was
whatever,
dude,
man.
come God!
It's just a comedy movie. Although I will say that scene could have been directed a lot better.
Yeah.
Certainly.
But anyways, that's like everything I can really hit on right now. But what would you give this? What did you give this movie?
6.
6?
A solid 6. Just
okay.
like, I wouldn't go out of my way necessarily to see it, but if you just like want to go see a movie,
okay,
that's a good one to see, I think.
I'm gonna give this movie a 5.5 out of 10. This movie is nothing you haven't seen before. It's a little bit better than like a generic, like a super generic movie like Peppermint, but it's not very good either or funny. But you can go see it.
It's got funny moments.
It does.
It's a fine movie.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, we'll be right back, everybody. Stick around.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
You've messed up your son's haircut. Do you try to fix it? Work with what you've got? Or show solidarity?
Thank you, babe.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
Había un niño que era muy sensible a luces y sonidos. Construía escondites donde no podían entrar. No le gustaba mirar a la gente a los ojos. Lo hacía sentir incómodo. Un día se descubrió que tenía autismo. Con ayuda, poco a poco, aprendió a vivir mejor con ello.
Mientras más pronto se diagnostique, mejor. Conoce las señales en autismspeaks.org.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job!
Or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation. We can.
Get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can.
Intervene.
It's on us.
All of us. Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We're back.
We're back.
On Film Juice, everybody.
Film Juice.
What's going on? Thanks for joining us. The next movie that we're going to be talking about, A Simple Favor, starring Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick, directed by Paul Feig.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk
take
about
it away.
So this is a thriller mystery movie. It is about these two women who their sons go to school together and are best friends. And so through that, they sort of start hanging out, and they have very different lifestyles. Blake Lively's character is this PR director for this very famous designer. Anna Kendrick is just like a stay-at-home mom whose husband passed away, and she's trying to get by. So Blake Lively kind of disappears. She goes AWOL. And Anna Kendrick goes on this mission to find her, and it's really interesting and very intricate movie, and there are some funny parts as well that I really enjoyed.
It's
let's get into it.
This movie is probably one of the most original movies I've seen in so long, and I'd like to say that I think the last movie that reminded me kind of like this was the Orient Express.
Also based on a book, because this movie is based on a book.
This movie is based on a book.
Which we can just address right now if you want.
I was so surprised about that. Like
seamlessly adapted for the screen.
I thought this was an original screenplay because of how, like, it's just so hard to tell. And it's because of how original this story is. Like, that
adds to it as well.
I have never been so surprised in a movie, I think. Like, this movie's a roller coaster. A lot of things happen in this movie.
A lot of things happen.
And I'm gonna really choose my words carefully here, but just a lot of things happen, and there's so many twists and turns, and I didn't see anything that this movie didn't want me to see coming. Like, there wasn't a moment where
they do a good job of misdirection.
Yes,
certainly, without feeling like you were misdirected
exactly.
at all at the end.
Like they only give you information when they want to give it to you, and the way they tell the story is so well done. Like the way they give you information is what makes attention or a suspenseful movie, and they do it so well with the story structure of the movie and the way they tell it. And I thought it was great. Anyway, I don't want to keep talking. You go.
No, I love it, Joe. This is why I show up to the show. This is what I live for.
Great.
Is Joe Dorado's comments, his gripes, and his accomplishments.
Praises.
His praises. Gripes and praises. That's what the show is going to be. When I'm out of here, you're gonna keep it going. Am I gonna talk about the movie? Maybe.
Oh, great.
So like I said, the two main characters are very different, and the juxtaposition between them is not just in the writing, but it's also very visual. Obviously, if you have seen these two actresses, they look very different.
Yeah.
But everything from their colors, in their outfits and things like that, just shows you how different they become. And so it's interesting to see Anna Kendrick's progression.
Yes, her progression is insane.
Yeah.
One not even a gripe, but one issue I'd say that I kind of had, but not really, it's not a big deal, was the fact that her character progresses a lot, but I would almost say it progresses a little really fast. And I'm not saying from beginning to end of the movie, because that progression was okay. I'm saying
there's also a fair amount of time jumps in this movie.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was, and I just didn't notice the time jump because there's a point in this movie towards the middle, where from the middle part to the end part, she goes through a crazy transformation, and you're like, what just happened?
Another thing about her character is she has this vlog for moms. Normally,
I thought that was done well.
Normally when movies put those in there, it feels like a crutch, and sometimes it feels unnatural or unauthentic. But this really, because the vlog played so much into the story, it just worked better than it ever has.
They had a lot of attention to detail in there. They had the comments going.
Absolutely.
They had the views. It was
throughout the
whole
movie.
Really,
there was such an attention to detail.
There was,
and that speaks so much to Paul Feig's directing. I think, for example, like I said, her husband passed away.
Yep.
There's only one shot that's in Anna Kendrick's bathroom, and you can see her husband's side of the bed untouched. So she's still feeling that sort of thing. And there are a lot of visual callbacks to different parts of the movie. Really great.
And I think one of the best parts about this movie is it has a lot of dialogue. This is a very dialogue-heavy movie.
Yeah.
But
which sometimes can feel overwhelming.
You don't feel overwhelmed.
Not in this one.
Because the way he tells it visually, he also has a lot of visual stuff in it.
The dialogue is cut so well. Just edited so well together. And especially for the comedic moments, but I think that's just another way. This movie shifts tones so easily.
Yes.
And really, really well.
Yeah, because it's funny sometimes, and sometimes you're on the edge of your seat.
And sometimes the scene will change like that. One scene will change from sort of a lighter tone.
It's
and
crazy.
It does it really well. It's really cool.
It's also due to the acting from Blake Lively.
No doubt about
Anna
it.
Kendrick, too. Anna Kendrick did a great job, but Blake Lively, she controlled the scene. Every
and you know
scene.
what? That just speaks to that she really understood her character.
Yeah,
because that's what her character is all about.
She fit it perfectly.
She nailed it.
It was just really great. I thought it was expertly written. I thought the shots were great. Composition-wise, like you said before, it was just really, really awesome.
doubt about
Like
it.
I mean,
I want to make this comment. I feel like it's a strange comment to make, but I just have to say it. Blake Lively's outfits in this movie,
they're wild.
Whoever designed those killed it. Like, not only do they nail her character unbelievably.
The props are good.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, they look so cool.
Yeah, the set design I thought was really good. It really fit. The whole thing with the house was really cool with the windows. That's not giving away too much, but the way they talk about the windows visually, like the way they use it as like a metaphor, I thought that was really cool. And they make note of that in the movie. Like they don't really hide it, which I like. I thought it was a really nice touch. I don't know how much. I don't want to spoil anything. It's a very hard movie not to spoil. The trailers did a great job of not giving away
Which is
much.
interesting because we were talking, the trailers made this movie look like it could have been hit or miss.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But I guess, you know what, in retrospect, maybe that's just what they had to do, right?
Yeah.
Because to hide so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get to the ratings.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I could have given it an 8, but I gave it an 8.5 because I think personally, I just really like the actors in this movie. I think the story was great. It just surprised me so much. I think it deserved an 8.5. It was just really well done. So yeah, 8.5.
Sure. I'm going to give it an 8. Excellent movie.
Yeah.
I think a big part of it, even though it is based on a novel, such a compelling story.
Yep.
You know, the movie is nearly 2 hours long.
It does not feel like it at all. It was crazy.
Really great.
Paced very well.
This one I would definitely recommend.
Yes,
going to see
please go see this movie.
About it.
It's really worth it.
Yeah, and we're going to be back after this break with our throwback, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You don't want to miss it.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
You've messed up your son's haircut. Do you try to fix it? Work with what you've got? Or show solidarity?
Thank you, babe.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
Había un niño que era muy sensible a luces y sonidos. Construía escondites donde no podían entrar. No le gustaba mirar a la gente a los ojos. Lo hacía sentir incómodo. Un día se descubrió que tenía autismo. Con ayuda, poco a poco, aprendió a vivir mejor con ello.
Mientras más pronto se diagnostique, mejor. Conoce las señales en autismspeaks.org.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation. We can.
Get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates, our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can intervene.
It's on us.
All of us. Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Back.
Oh, yeah, we're back. I
just said that, Joe. We're back here at Film Juice. We're going to talk about a movie. I don't know that we've ever done a kind of comedic movie as a throwback before. I can't, but so...
Oh, yeah, we did Halloween Town.
Halloween Town.
Holes.
That's like a kid's movie.
Holes was comedic.
I guess so. But let's talk about Who Framed Roger Rabbit, 1988 movie. So this movie, for those of you who don't know, is actually based on a book by Gary Wolfe. The book is called Who Censored Roger Rabbit? And apparently there's a whole series of like Roger Rabbit
I didn't know that.
novels, like mystery novels that like surround.
I thought it was just the one. That's
Roger Rabbit. Yeah,
they could have definitely made more if they wanted to.
Yeah, I would have watched.
This one did so well though, like, and it ended pretty like.
So the, anyways, this movie takes place in a world where cartoons and us live action people exist in the same universe, and there's this Toontown that was sort of created by this famous animator, Marvin Acme, played by Stubby K. It's his real name.
Really?
Stubby K. So he gets murdered, and somebody frames this Roger Rabbit, this cartoon, and the only person who's willing to help him is a detective played by Bob Hoskins.
Eddie.
Yep, Eddie. And he doesn't really like cartoons, so there's a little conflict there, and they just have to try and work together to figure this thing out before Roger Rabbit pretty much gets the cartoon version of the death penalty.
Yeah, this movie is awesome. Yeah. I just want to say, like, this was one of the first movies that I like ever really loved, like, as a kid. And this movie,
that's nice.
It's not just for kids, and that's why I love it.
No, not at all.
Not at all. It's for adults as well, because this movie has dark themes.
Which is something that I want to talk about. I feel like there are times in this movie, because I like this movie as much as the next guy, that I feel like there are times in this movie where it's not balancing all of those things. It's not sure what it wants to be. I think there are some parts where tonally it's just up in the air. You know what I mean? And it just can't.
I can see that. I never had an issue with it because
there are some parts that I remember watching as a kid, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I should be watching this part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it gets. Yeah, this isn't just. This
no,
isn't
and
just
like it's not. I don't think that this
kids,
is like a children's movie. I wouldn't call this like a children's movie. Like children can watch it.
You're saying it went a little too far sometimes. You say?
Yeah. I think that this movie had trouble sometimes deciding what it wanted to be.
Okay. Yeah. I can definitely see that. I didn't think of that. I can definitely see that. I never thought of it like that. I was always okay with the tone of this movie. When I watched this movie, I always just like was completely fine with how dark it gets, and even just how like over the top it gets with some of the adult themes. Like I just was like always fine with it. Yeah. I don't know. It just never really bothered me, I guess. But I can definitely see your point. Like
you were such a mature child, Joe. The rest of us weren't always that lucky.
I mean, but when you watch this as an adult, it's fine. Like I don't see that. Yeah. So then I don't see like it as a big issue, like overall.
I guess not. But I'm just saying, like there are. That was an issue. That's just probably the only issue, really.
Yeah.
For me, because obviously, kudos to the actors for acting against these nothing things. So I think when you talk about movies that combine live action and animation, two come up. This one and Space Jam, which came out 8 years after this in '96, and this movie does the live action animation back and forth so much better than Space Jam.
It does.
And it does it so much better than probably any movie to date. There was that movie that came out on Netflix, OSHA.
Oh, I didn't see that movie.
That didn't do a bad job of it. But this one, just next time you watch it, watch the shadows. Watch the shadows of the characters, because it's perfect.
It's so impressive.
Unbelievable. Just the amount of work that would have to go into that and attention to detail is so cool.
That's the great thing about 2D animation too, especially like It's not even digital. This was all hand-drawn animation. And it really makes you appreciate it. And it shows not just how much work they have to put in, but also the amount of quality you get with it. Like, you put in all that work, but you do get it back. Like, you really do see the difference. And I think it's great. It really makes me, like, miss old 2D animation. Like, it really does.
The good old days, Joe.
Yes, but
I feel like Melissa is in the control room being like, yep, Joe said it.
But it's done. It really is done so well, and the way they, the human characters interact with the objects and the scenery is just well done. Like, it really is. For example, the gun, the gun with the bullets. That scene's awesome.
The bullet gun. The bullet.
It's great.
Oh, the bullet gun. I know.
The cartoon,
the cartoon gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the way he's holding it. Like, you can kind of tell, but like for the time and like. It's not that bad. Like, it's really good, actually.
Like, yeah, I think it would rival what a lot of people would, if they tried to do that today.
Yeah. I want to talk about more of the darker things in this movie. The villain in this movie
scared
is
me.
Scary as hell.
Super scary.
So scary. Like, his name is Judge Doom. That's a name. He is terrifying. His eyes. I think it's his eyes. His eyes really get you, especially when they pop out at the end. Some of the images in this movie are actually scary.
Like that is
they
really
are. Like,
intense. And you know something? I feel like that part of that might be attributed to the movie being produced by Steven Spielberg, who also produced one of the other movies we've done this season, House of the Clock and Its Walls. Yeah. And he said to the director of that movie, Eli Roth, he said, "Don't be afraid to make it scary."
Yeah.
So obviously Steven Spielberg has no qualms about that. So I think that might be a touch. And he, of course, has such a great relationship with director Robert Zemeckis. You know what else they worked on?
Oh.
Which also stars Christopher Lloyd, who plays Judd Doom in this.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you don't expect this out of a movie that has animation. I don't know.
Just a bunch of cartoons.
Yeah, you don't, and it's really well done. And
you know what's interesting about this movie? You might know this. It's the only movie that Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, probably the two most well-known animated characters, are in together. Licensing both of them was a big issue.
I can imagine.
There was it was written in the contract that if one was on screen, the other one had to be on screen also.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
They had to get equal amount of time.
That's insane.
With each other. Yeah.
I just really quick before we wrap this up, the practical effects were great. Different from all the cartoon stuff. Like the practical effects alone were really good. I thought, especially, I really like. This is a weird thing, but I really like the blood in this movie. Like, I think, or the goo. Like, yeah. It's really just looks awesome. I don't know. It's just a really cool effect.
Definitely pops on screen.
But yeah.
Ratings, Joe. Really ratings.
I'm going to give this movie, I give a lot of throwbacks high ratings, but...
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons we try to talk about it.
I'm going to give this movie a 10. I can see it being lower than this, but I personally love this movie so much. It just holds a special place in my heart. And I think I really don't find any flaws in it, personally. And so I think it deserves a 10 for that. Go see it if you haven't already. It's a great movie.
Yeah, definitely watch this one. No matter what age you are, because it's just an entertainment. It's pure entertainment. I'm going to give this movie an 8.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's what I think it deserves. It's an excellent movie. So, Joe, no show next week.
Yeah, no show next week. Next week we are off for fall break, but we will be back the week after with some good movies. We got Venom. Well, we don't know what's good and what's not good yet, but Venom. We got
some hyped movies.
Yes, some hyped movies. Venom. What's the other one? Stars Born.
Stars Born. Yeah.
And we don't know the other one yet, but we will find out soon.
Absolutely. Yep. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next time at the movies.